My name is Andres Borghi, and I'm a film director from Argentina. I'm also a game developer. The game I'm working on right now, it's called Tenebris Somnia. It's an old-fashioned survival horror game like Resident Evil or Silent Hill or Fatal Frame. It's made in an 8-bit art style with a fixed camera. It's a survival horror for the Famicom computer or maybe the Nintendo NES. But the catch is that in certain moments you have a cutscene, and the cutscene is suddenly a live action. It's filled with real actors, real places, real everything. So it's like you cut to a movie suddenly. The contrast this make and the shock this generates is very effective. The original idea for the game came while playing the independent horror game Faith by Airdorf. And I said it would be cool to make a game that's easy to make. Faith in certain moments has cutscenes, and the cutscenes are still in the style of Atari, but something that Atari couldn't do. And since I'm a filmmaker myself, I said, okay, let's do like a Nintendo game and a movie. The other inspiration is mostly the first Silent Hill, because of the type of story it tells and the atmosphere, and also the original Clock Tower. This game is like if you take Clock Tower and you bring it to 8 bits. Regarding to the story or the plot, Silent Hill 2, because of how a strong beginning it has, because the game tells you the guy got a letter from his wife who told him, come to Silent Hill to see me, but his wife has been dead for 2 years. So it's like, wow, I'm already hooked from the beginning. And the other game that does something very similar, it's a game that not many people know, which is called D. And it's about a doctor in a hospital, the director of a hospital that goes crazy and starts killing people. And the daughter of the guy has to go to the hospital to know what happened. In our game, it's something similar. It's our protagonist, a girl, is having many nightmares every night about her ex-boyfriend being killed by horrible creatures. So in a moment she says, okay, I'll have to ask him if he's okay. So she has to go to his apartment. For me, the most difficult thing was first to write the game. It took me 1.5 years to write the game. I mean, everything from the story to the gameplay to the maps, harder than any feature film I have wrote in the past. We here in Argentina, when we make independent films, it's always very small, 2 or 3 actors, 1 or 2 locations, and that's it. And here we have many different locations, because you go in the game from a place to the next, to the next, to the next. So the location is always different, and that's always a problem. So what you are seeing right now is the behind the scenes of the filming of the live action segments, and it works mostly like a real film. It's more fragmented. Like when you make a movie, you make the whole thing, but here it's like you're filming small parts of the story separated, and the thing that glues them together is the gameplay. So sometimes it's quite hard, mostly for the crew, to understand what's going on. And like I tell them, well, we are in this place, and the actress or the actors come from this situation into this, and then we'll cut to another situation that we'll never make as a film. So I really have to be really secure or sure of what I'm making, because I'm kind of the only one that really understands what's going on in the shooting. I mean, when you're making a movie, and maybe you start with the end, because that's how shooting works sometimes, you kind of know where the viewer is in his mind, how he's feeling at that moment, and you can make it work. But here, you have to experience the gameplay to really know where the gamer, the player, is standing. It's kind of hard to know what comes first. Is it better to design the stage and then try to find the location that matches the place, or the other way? The answer is the other way. It's much easier to find a place that suits the cutscene and some of the gameplay, and then you translate it to the game. But the first time we did it, we had designed the whole first part of the game with a place that we didn't have in real life, and you'll be surprised how hard it is to find something like a hallway that has like a L shape. And we found it in the house of the mother of the main programmer of the game, of Tobias. So now we're trying to know exactly which stages are also seen in the cutscene and film first, and then translated to the game. When you're playing the game and you see everything in pixels, you don't really see her face, for example. And suddenly you see the actress in like real close-up, and you see, oh, that's how she looks like, and then it makes you want more. Every time this happens in the game, we really have to figure out how to make it work. There's something I have in mind all the time when making a monster. Avoid the bald naked guy. That's like my mantra. I mean, in every horror movie, every horror game, when you see the monster is a bald guy or girl, big teeth, I mean white eyes or black eyes, naked. Very thin, very tall. It's always the same. Always, every single time. And because it works. It's very effective. I mean, you see that in the shadows and you'll be afraid because it's almost a person, but it's not. It got to be a cliche. There's a photo of a creature called the Rake. I don't know if you know it. It's a very dark forest, but there's a white guy like this. And every person takes that photo as a reference. So we have to really think how to make things different and unique. It's all about what happens in the game. I can't spoil it now, but there's a reason why they look like that with this strange format. It was really hard to make the story work. I like when people get engaged in the game because this is a spoiler, but the first cutscene doesn't happen until maybe 15-20 minutes in the game. I mean like 99% of the people got to that cutscene. And so if you're going to the game because of the cutscenes and you get the first one at the 20th minute, it's because you're engaged in the story, you're engaged in the game. So I'm really glad that's happening, and we went to great lengths to make that work, mostly because traditionally survival horror has a way to tell its story through notes, right? You go through the game and you face enemies or whatever, and then you find a note that says, oh, this place and this facility has an experiment, blah, 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 blah. And if you don't read that, it's impossible for you to understand the story of the game if you don't read like 40 notes. I really went to great lengths to make the story work all the time without that. When we released the demo and the trailer, people went kinda nuts. We were expecting a good response, but not this good. I think it's because of this strange mix of styles. Anyone would say those two things don't belong together. And then they see it working and their mind blows. I think that's what happened, and the most interesting thing that happened is that some big people from the movie world wrote me about the game. And also the guy that made Faith, he wrote me. I mean, I never talked to him, and suddenly he's speaking to me and saying, hey, your game looks very good. Of course, that was the opportunity for me to say it was inspired by your game. At the end of the thing, it's a love story. Anyone can understand it. There's magic, there's monsters, but the important thing is that you understand the love story, and anyone can understand a love story. For the moment, we only have a playable demo, which is on Steam, and it's free. Tenebris Somnia will be out on Steam sometime around 2025, so you can follow us on Twitter to see some updates of the game.